Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/HomeandPodcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Thanks, Audible, and let's get into the episode.
Lion just recovered a fumble.
Bits of wisdom.
It's Harry Houdini, I'm pretty sure.
That's when it kind of becomes Home Improvement After Dark.
I guess that leaves us at the question of the week.
Very good. I don't know if you noticed, Jordan, but a really cool aerial shot of the table. Reasonably funny.
User review.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home and podcast time.
That's right, Binford Tools is proud to present a Home Improvement Podcast. My name is Adam, and you all know my co-host, Jordan, and I let the pigeons in here, Lions.
You know me, causing trouble.
Yeah.
Bringing in the full pigeons, you know. They had a nice meal before they bring them in.
I quote with you before we started, so you probably aren't real surprised that that was my eventual
You know,
read
I
here.
Honestly didn't think you would bring it up because it seemed too far-fetched.
It's just kind of random, but I feel like being random today.
Hashtag random.
Jordan, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here talking home improvement with you on this crisp fall Friday morning.
My weeks would not be complete with this conversation, so I'm glad to be here as well.
With or without this
you
conversation?
Said it was, I could take it or leave the conversation.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm glad to be here this morning. So you say it's crisp. Is it starting to cool down up there? I know, it seemed like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago it was like 90.
Yeah, you got that right. No, it's, yeah, you know it, mister. Yeah, it's, you wake up, and I know this is probably very interesting for people to hear, and it's
weather.com is popular, so.
It's one of the most popular websites online, so I think for our branding, we should just start talking more about weather. This could be, I'm thinking like half home improvement, half weather.
I think maybe we can start to link to every blog post. We're going to link to weather.com, and then we can maybe we can target some ads on their site. We'll see. Weather
the Storm. That's a good weather podcast title. Anyways, yeah, Jordan, it's I like the fall, and hot take, I think fall is good. And you wake up and it's 38, 39, 40 degrees, and then by the time I go to school and I wear my fall jacket and it's cold, and then by the time I leave 2 or 3 o'clock, it's 70. So
and you got your jacket wrapped around your waist.
I wrap it around my waist.
Wappa.
It's I'm not the first person to say this, Jordan, and I won't be the last, but weather sure is unpredictable. What are your Halloween plans? This is our last episode before All Hallows Eve. So last year you had a big party that you bragged about for a couple episodes. So
did I? I think you just asked about it over and over again because you were jealous that you couldn't be there.
I was so jealous. Do you do anything special this Halloween or in the coming weeks to celebrate fall or Halloween?
This year's been a little bit more low-key for us. We're not hosting a Halloween party this year. Mm-hmm. We've got too full of a house this time around, so we're going to see if some of our friends will take on the mantle. Seems like they're not going to, though, so that might really hinder the plans.
Yeah, if they're not going to have a party, then there might just not be a party, which would be too bad.
I wish I could go to Aaron's party.
Aaron's party, come get it. Yeah.
What about you? What do you got going on?
No concrete Halloween plans yet. Trying to set something up with some people, but this weekend
you got a costume in mind?
No, but I got a couple ideas, but I'm not. They're not fully formed yet. They're pretty half baked at this juncture, so I don't want to say anything.
This isn't a half baked pod with you and Anthony.
This is not that. This is fully baked. This weekend, I think we're going to go to the orchard or an apple orchard, one of those pumpkin kind of places on Sunday. Grab some pumpkins. Probably do some carving this week. So I like to carve pumpkins. I think I probably said this before, but it's I've carved a pumpkin every year since I was very young, and the quality of the pumpkin kind of stays the same. So.
You don't get better with time.
It's like Matthew McConaughey and in Dazed and Confused. It's that quote, Jordan.
Yeah, I know what
I
you're
keep
saying.
getting older, they stay
They
the same.
stay the
Yeah,
same. That's
yeah,
the good thing about high
that's-
school girls.
Yeah, except I'm talking about pumpkins. But yeah, no, we're gonna do that on Sunday. We might go to another one this weekend as well. I would like to have a fall hike, kind of see the colors. So
I do want to stop you. I actually knew a reference that you just made to a movie.
Good. We should celebrate that.
We
Yeah, that
should.
was good. Have you seen? That surprises me. Have you seen?
I'm not
Dancing
going to tell you
Confused?
I've seen it, but I know the quote.
Well, that's good enough. Fake it till you make it.
I'm good at
Transitioning away from Halloween and fall and things like that. You tweeted, and you don't tweet on your personal account very often. So this really left an
I don't even have
impact on me.
I don't even have the Twitter app right now, so I'm going manually to twitter.com.
Wow, so you were really compelled to tweet about this film then, if you got on your computer to do it.
Man,
but you saw
I've
Blade
been
Runner,
raving and ranting about it.
Blade Runner 2049, and you really liked it. What did you like about it?
I enjoyed it. I liked it was different, than a lot of the action movies and stuff that come out now, where it just seems like there's explosions everywhere. It was a lot more of longer scenes where there might not be really anything going on, but you're taking in just the beautiful on-screen footage. I liked the colors that were used in the film really mirrored like the mood that they wanted as far as like dystopian and the world has gone to crap a little bit. I enjoyed it's not quite as I haven't seen the first one in a while, so I had to before I went. I couldn't get my hands on the film, so I read on Wikipedia again to get the storyline fresh in my mind. And it wasn't quite as ambiguous as that film was, but there still was like a lot where you were just kind of thinking like, what's happening, what's real, what's not real, and I would definitely recommend.
Is Harrison Ford a replicant?
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah,
because. And this is
spoiler alert.
Maybe this is whatever. Maybe this is a conversation we have off air because there's like 4 cuts of the original film.
Sure.
And in some of them he is, and some of them he is not. So
that is the thing about the first film.
Insinuated. Yeah.
Yeah. In the first film, I think it was like the director wanted him to be a replicant, and then Harrison Ford didn't want to be a replicant.
I've heard that as well.
But in the second film, it's very much he's a replicant. So they carried that through.
He probably he figured he wanted to get paid, so he has to agree with it. It's funny, Harrison Ford of late really going back and playing the greatest hits: Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
They mentioned that there might be another Blade Runner after this, which makes sense at the end of the movie. Okay. And I think it's going to be centered around him, and he said he would be into it. So it would be even more about him than this movie was.
I mean, I really like him a lot, so that I'll probably rent this one eventually. I was just surprised to see you take to Twitter with such high praise. But another friend of mine, also a friend of ours, Ryan Thornburg, also noted that he really liked it. So. Must be something to that. I'm surprised Jared Leto didn't ruin it because he has a way of ruining things for me. He was
straight creepy in that movie.
Okay,
but he's like he's a good villain. He's a realistic villain, I guess. You could see someone turning into him, I guess. So
villain in real life as
he's
well.
He's kind of he's a mad scientist type in that movie. Man. So
speaking of mad scientists and villains and home improvement,
are you talking about John Vandergriff? The writer of this episode?
Yes, in fact I was. He is something of a villain. After watching this episode, I've decided he's a villain in my world. So what are we covering this week, Jordan?
We are covering, our episode 66 is going to be Room for Change. And before I get into the episode details, just want to mention that this episode is sponsored by That Totally Awesome 90s Podcast. They've actually done a home improvement podcast before. They do lots of topics from the 90s. So definitely check that one out. You can also find them on Twitter at TTA90s Podcast. So thanks for sponsoring, guys. Like I said, written by John Vandergriff. This is the first of 19 episodes written by him.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. He did one episode of Coach and some... yeah, just one. And some Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh, okay, so kind of a Hall of Famer, really.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you want out of a writer? And... So this episode that he wrote aired March 2nd, 1994. We don't have any plot keywords. We do have alternative titles. I asked you before how many you had. You said I have 40, but you pared it down to 5.
1, 2,
so that's
3,
good.
4, 5. Yeah, I have 5. How many do you have?
I have 3.
So I'll split the difference. That's an average of 4, which is good enough for me. All right. I mean, I also want to just start off by saying that they've used the title like Room for Change, Roomy for Improvement. Pretty similar titles. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's not really, I mean, is it a play on words? I don't think so. They don't have any notes as far as, like, this is
Is this a reference to a Spike Lee film I haven't seen?
Yeah, there's nothing on IMDb about that. Actually, on IMDb, the notes and information on this episode are very sparse. So
you could say that about most of the episodes we covered.
I don't think so, to be honest.
Okay,
but,
really? All right, fair enough.
All right, go ahead with your first alternative title. I'm ready for it.
All right, title of the episode is Room for Change. My first one is Puberty Problems.
It's only good if you read it in that tone.
Yeah, Rob Schneider is accurate.
He get puberty problems. All right, my first one is Hunka Hunka Brotherly Love.
Okay, good. I did one kind of like that. My second one, Brotherly Slug.
Oh, brother. I wrote that down, but I decided I can't have two brother ones, so I just wanted to mention it.
Sure.
This one's a little bit longer. Actually, no, I'm going to do my worst one, I think. Al's Sounds of Silence.
I just have one that's called The Sound of Silence.
Oh, well.
Close.
Close.
All right.
Do another one.
All right. This one it requires a bit of voice modulation. Despacito, this is how we do it down in Puerto Rico.
I thought of trying to do Puerto Rico, but I'm really glad I left it to you for that one.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
All right, so this one has two alterations. I'm going to read them both, and you're going to tell me which one you like.
Okay.
Keeping in mind, you might just say they're both bad.
Okay,
and not like either. So, A House Divided in a New Nightstand is one of them.
A house divided in a new nightstand?
Yeah,
I don't even get it.
Abraham Lincoln, A House Divided Against Itself Cannot Stand. The house is divided. You know, Tim and Jill have different perspectives here.
I just didn't understand the reference, I guess. But
well, Brad gets a new nightstand. He gets a new room. So the
I
other
didn't hear
one,
he got a new nightstand.
Yeah.
Are you just assuming that he got a new nightstand?
I'm assuming. There's no nightstand in his room, so I assume he has to get a new one.
I guess it's making sense. I didn't quite get this right away. I don't know.
The other version of it, which is maybe a little bit easier to understand, A House Divided and Tim Misunderstands.
I prefer that one because
I also preferred that one, but I wanted to give you a chance on the new nightstand.
Thank you for giving me both. You know, I have a final one here, but I'm having trouble reading it, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to say it.
This is why I type things instead of write them on paper.
I did this morning. I got nothing here. I know what it was a play on. Was it a play on?
Let's try to reverse engineer this.
It was a play on with great power. With great power comes great responsibility.
Great privilege?
Yeah. So with great privilege
I thought about that
comes
one too.
Great responsibility because, that's what Brad says at the end. So, in Like a Lion, Out Like a Lamb, these titles. But, last
episode was better, so we were due for a down week. All right, I'm going to read a plot synopsis, which might be our shortest of all time.
Wow, it is.
Brad asks for his own room after getting tired of sharing with Randy. You're probably wondering...
That's not even really what happens.
You're probably wondering who wrote that synopsis, and I don't have an answer for you.
Oh, mystery.
It's by no one.
Now, with Halloween being right around the corner, that has me a little spooked.
I'm spooked too, but I'm also about to sneeze, so...
Okay, well, we may have to edit that.
Oh, wait, it went away. Thank goodness.
Oh, fake sneeze. That's scary as well. What's going on here? You ready to start this thing?
As ready as I'm going to be.
All right.
I'm going to let you open because I feel like I always have to open.
You do? Okay. All right. All right, we open. Tim is laying on the ground on the Tool Time set. He does several jokes about, when I'm laying on the ground after an injury, I often think the following things, and he kind of just jokes about, I didn't know electricity could lift me this far off the ground, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the last thing he mentions is, as he's looking up, he notices that the ceiling needs, is it texturizing, or it needs additional texture of some sort?
It needs some sort of acoustical spray, so we can get a popcorn ceiling of sorts.
Okay, that's what it is. So they introduced the Binford 6100 acoustic spraying system, and that's
a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, all right. And it looks like a It just kind of looks like a vacuum to me. I don't know.
That's what they actually look like, though.
Okay, all right. Well, fair enough. One thing to note here is, they're doing some painting, or they're preparing to do some painting, and Al has a very, I would describe it as almost like a fraternity kind of look. He's got like a white hat on backwards and just a very full beard, and I thought that he looked very
looked a
cool.
lot like us in those like painting pictures that were hung up around my house.
He did, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Jeremy was wearing the same exact outfit as Al.
This is true, yeah. The backwards painting hat, and Jeremy had a full beard too. So no, I liked Al's look in this one. So yeah, they're getting ready to demonstrate this, and Tim is he should be measuring. They should be doing the specific measurements. You have to add a specific amount of water to make the mix correct, otherwise it becomes too runny. But Tim says he uses the eye test. Al uses a Pyrex measuring cup, but Tim doesn't buy it. Tim makes a good Dennis Hopper joke here. I don't know if you caught that.
I heard it, but I didn't know what it was in reference to.
Dennis Hopper, he says something about the Hopper, and he says, "Pass it to me, Dennis." Dennis Hopper is just like an actor. He's in Easy Rider and Speed and Blue Velvet and any number of movies. It's probably my favorite Dennis Hopper joke on Home Improvement I've ever heard.
Yeah, small sample size, but it's a good one.
For sure. And then, so this is a little bit strange. So Tim's demonstrating using this thing, or there's a demonstration. And, I mean, I couldn't tell if it was working or not, and the audience kind of felt the same way.
It looks like it was sputtering.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was working. So the audience is laughing, and I'm thinking like, oh, it's not working right, because I've never seen this kind of thing in action. I don't really know what it's doing. Audience is laughing, and then we find out that Tim actually did a good job. So that was a little confusing for me.
It was, yeah, definitely a little confusing. It looks very messy for sure. Some of it seems to just like not even stick and hit the ground, and
I think it's probably just a bad. I think that they just didn't do a good job.
I don't know.
It.
I don't know how well you could have done with this, but
yeah,
they gave it a shot.
They tried.
It paid off.
Payoff was just immense. Al eats crow, and he compliments Tim on a really a job well done, and then they stand up and admire it, and a bunch of paint falls on Al's face.
He eats something else. We talked about how the acoustical spray machine was a mouthful, but Al then gets a mouthful of droppings, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, Jordan, quick question. Who let the pigeons in here?
It was me. Don't you remember?
It's a bad opening. It's a bad opening scene, but you know what? Shockingly, we've had so many bad ones lately that this one didn't seem as bad, I felt like. It's not good by any means, but not as bad as some.
I think it was so confusing for me. I was confused initially when he was just sitting on the ground, and I had no idea where it was going when he was talking about, like, he was recounting his accidents.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know whether he was doing a good job or not. So I think the confusion actually worked for them. Because I didn't know if it was a bad opening scene or not.
Fair enough, Jordan. Nail on the head, I would say. Next scene.
All right, so we're going to go back home. Brad is at home. He's hanging out in his room. He's got a cordless telephone, and he's chatting on the phone with Ashley, who is jealous of another girl, Melissa, because Brad shared his Jell-O with Melissa, and it's caused quite the kerfuffle.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
No, I mean, and Brad tries to make the point that it's not like they shared the same piece of gum, but, Ashley knows better. She knows.
Jell-O is one of the more intimate foods. So
yeah, the Jell-O's on the wall here. So Randy comes in, and Brad tries to kick him out. Brad uses the argument, right argument of like he was there first,
Mm-hmm,
and
yeah.
Randy's just trying to get his books, but then on the way out, he pretends to be the other girl to mess with Ashley, which I really liked this actually.
Yeah. Is this something you did to your brothers?
No, I think, instead of Tim coming up to break up a fight, I think I would have got pounded instead. So, so I did not do this that I'm aware of. But yeah, Brad like chases him out of the room or whatever. And, as he does, Randy hits him with a ball and Brad.
Yeah, pretty hard.
Yeah. Brad is temporarily like stunned and then he just keeps going because he's a monster.
I wonder if that was, I guess it probably wasn't ad-libbed, but maybe he threw it harder, or it was more of a
hit him in the face
than they expected. Yeah, it really hit him hard. Yeah,
yeah, it was good. Brad keeps going, chases him down the stairs, and then Tim comes in and breaks up the fight. Jill comes in too. And, they get in an argument. What's going on here? Brad can't help. He's so popular, and he's always on the phone.
Yeah, we find out that this has been happening. Like, they've had a really tough couple of weeks, like, where they've been just, like, fighting and bloody noses and fat lips and things like that.
It seems like at this point they leave through separate doors to go to school, I'm guessing. So
Yeah,
this was
Randy.
before school?
That is... Wait, yeah, you're right. That doesn't... So he's Man, that would be an early phone call for Brad to be making to Ashley. He's talking about, like, the Jell-O situation at, like, 6:30 in the morning. I hadn't thought about that.
You know what? Here's what happened. This conversation started last night, and they talked all through the night.
I tell you what, Randy's got a case then. If Brad talked to Ashley all night while he's trying to sleep, I'd be kind of upset about that too.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense. I hadn't thought about that.
No,
Yeah.
very weird. You did talk about how the last couple of weeks they've been fighting. There's been black eyes, a bloody nose, stitches, and loose teeth.
I mean,
we don't see any remnants of that.
I'd like to see that. I mean, I would imagine that all of those descriptions would be Randy, because I mean, there's no way that Randy's giving Brad like a fat lip.
I don't know. If he hits him really hard with that ball, he might be able
That's true.
to.
He might have just gotten one. But
You know, if you're a good parent, though, you know what you do with a situation like this?
Go to Puerto Rico.
You escape to Puerto Rico.
Despacito, baby.
And Tim starts like dancing. He does a little salsa.
Tim does a lot of dancing in this one.
I like it.
I don't. Basically,
I don't actually like it, but
Tim also suggests in this near the end of the scene that they have separate bedrooms, and Jill decides that that is maybe an okay idea, but they need to have a family discussion about it.
I really thought this was going to go the way of Tim making a separate bedroom, but it definitely did not.
Well, this whole episode is like foreshadow, because I know he makes Randy that
eventually
bedroom in the basement, so this episode is definitely
They
foreshadowing.
were keeping that in the can for later on.
Yeah, they knew
I
they were
guess.
going to be able to get some real mileage out of that.
Yep. We also learned that apparently Mark has his own room, and I was wondering
had no
why.
idea. Yeah, that's not fair. I mean, Brad should have his own room, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of this episode's a bit silly, but
I can't believe
Mark has his own
why would
room.
Mark have his own room? Like,
Apparently, maybe
what's Mark doing in his room alone? That's
no wonder he has so many social issues.
we should have Mark Cam.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't want. And I guess maybe Mark got beat up so much by his older brothers that they had to like put him in a separate room. Who knows? I don't. That's
Have
the
we
only
ever seen
explanation
Mark
I can think of.
alone in his room? Have we ever seen
No.
Mark's room or Mark alone in his room?
I don't think so.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Interesting. All right.
Interesting. Ooh, yeah.
I did like one other line in this scene. Tim says, "That's why we became parents, so we could tell kids what to do. If not, then we're just the tallest people living here."
You like that line?
I thought that was kind of funny.
Big thud on my end. Crickets throughout my residence.
Thuds and crickets.
Didn't land. Yeah, just a big thud. All right, next scene, we're back on Tool Time. And I don't know what the theme is for this week, but they were working on painting ceilings. Now they're soundproofing and insulating walls. So
It's miscellaneous week. So
yeah, I guess it's not definitely not sweeps week because they're not really trying to tie anything together.
No.
Tim has soundproofed a special room that Lisa wheels out, and they do the thing where the text comes up on the screen where it's Al thinks that the room is soundproof, but it's actually not, and you can kind of guess where this is going. But Tim goes into the room and he fake yells, he mimics he's talking, and Al is convinced that the room
I'm
is...
convinced.
Oh, you didn't see the text?
No, I did see the text, but if the text weren't there, he does a pretty good job of pretending.
Yeah, he does. He does it for a while, and then you can see where this is going. Al goes in, and he doesn't think anybody can hear him, and then he says a bunch of.
He should be the host. He hates Tim's hair. He starts singing.
He's berating Tim essentially, and
He sure
this goes
is.
on a long time. It's a long gag, and then Tim. This is one of the rare times where Tim comes across as being more intelligent than Al.
Yeah,
because Al can hear Tim.
And he says, "Think about that." Right?
Yeah, and then Tim says, "Think about that." He just doesn't. Al isn't quite able to piece it together. And I was thinking this whole scene would have been something I would have really enjoyed when I was young. I think it would have really played when I was maybe 4 or 5 or 6 or something. Doesn't really work for me now. But
you didn't like this one, huh?
No, did you?
I thought it was fine. I definitely remember it from when I was younger, which
really?
doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I do feel like it would be something as a young boy I would have really gotten a kick out of.
I'm surprised they didn't use this as the cold open.
Yeah, instead we get that
That pigeon joke.
good pigeon pit. Yeah.
They've got a lot of bird jokes on this show. There's the parrot. There's the pigeon. What's next?
They felt like they probably just didn't have a lot to do with the boys in the room thing, because I feel like you can't really, I don't know, it doesn't really lend itself to a lot of unique kind of scenes. They just kind of go in circles in this episode, so whatever. Where are we at here?
We're still we're gonna go back home now. We've been in Tool Time way too long. So
all right. So Randy wants in the bedroom. He's trying to get through the door. He's in the hallway, but Brad is just blocking it, standing in front of it. Tim hears it.
This seems definitely like something that like young brothers would do, though.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I'll take your word for it, Jordan. But eventually they get in there and they just kind of. They start fighting. Tim comes up, and Randy says he hates Brad. I mean, I guess they're...
Well, yeah, but not as much as Brad hates Randy.
Yeah, things are tough right now. Randy just... It's kind of funny. Randy just, like, wants to have the room so he can do his homework. You know, it's all... Yeah. Like, I just want to do my homework.
He can't do it downstairs. They have, like, a little mini office right next to the door.
Yeah, I think it's just the principle of it all. You know,
it's
like,
true.
He
it's
just
his
wants
room
to be able
too.
to do what he wants in his room. But they're definitely setting Randy up as, a bookworm of sorts. You know, they're actually, doesn't he go to Puerto Rico? Isn't that the thing? Later
Costa
on?
Rica, I think.
Costa Rica. Oh, man, that would have been good.
Yeah, this would have been a great foreshadowing episode if he got a room later and then...
And he went to Puerto Rico. Wow, right into the wall.
Oh, boy.
Tim tries to... He
says he has to figure it out. He's had enough. And Jill's not there, we should say.
To pacify the situation, but he has the boys shake hands. And then when they shake hands, they just kind of start wrestling again, so... Tim cuts to brass tacks, and he decides that Brad's going to get his own room and Mark and Randy are going to move in together, which should have been the situation from the onset.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the amazing burns that Randy and Brad have on each other in this scene?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Brad starts it off by saying, Randy belongs on the bottom of Lake Erie with all the other shrimp, which gets it from the crowd.
Are there shrimp in Lake Erie?
I doubt it. I don't.
I mean, obviously we know a lot about the Great Lakes.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're from Michigan and all, but if anyone wants to write in about the shrimp on Lake Erie, let us know. And then Randy retorts that Brad belongs on Mars because there's no sign of intelligent life. To which Tim says, "Hey, they've never confirmed that."
That's a good line delivery. I did laugh when he said that.
I did like that. Yeah, like you said, they try to shake hands and make up. Turns into another fight. Tim says it's my way or the highway, and Randy thinks it's unfair, and that's the end of that scene. So,
a lot of scenes where at the end Randy thinks it's unfair. Like most of the scenes in this episode end with Randy saying something's unfair.
It's only unfair because his older brother's moving on without him. But we'll get to that later.
Are you talking about puberty problems?
Puberty problems. All right. So at home later, Tim is giving Mark a box for moving his stuff.
That was really funny. It's just like, I mean, it's not fun. They're not.
It's like he got fired from the office and he has to take his stuff out.
Yeah, they're not playing it for laughs, but like he just hands Mark a box and it's like, all right, you're moving out. Like, I don't know. I thought that was funny.
And Mark isn't really excited about leaving his own room until
Mark
Tim
had a sweet situation.
Him.
I mean,
he sure did, except for
mad too.
His stunted social growth, probably,
and his general lack of understanding of the world and all that.
He lives in that box. That's the problem. Anyways, so Tim convinces him that this is a good idea by saying, you and Randy might be able to team up and pick on Brad or something. So he's excited about that. Mm-hmm. Starts to go upstairs and pack, and as he does, Jill comes in and sees the box and says, "Hey, what are you doing with that box?"
Fair question.
Yeah, and Mark, he's still playing the narc role. I mean, it's 3 seasons in. He just gives up any information anytime you ask. He's not a liar. He is a truth teller, and he tells her what's going on. And Jill then summons Tim as Mark leaves, and she's mad. She's mad because they were going to decide this together, and he made that decision unilaterally. And he said, women and men make decisions differently, so it's always good when you go into generalities and stereotypes about women and men, so we're going to do it here. And women take too long to decide in a purse or whatever, and then men are much more decisive. And Jill says, just because men make quicker decisions doesn't make it right. And she ends up calling, he says something about women yammering, and she calls him a yak ass. So
that was about as blatant in terms of, I don't know, it just struck me as being very R-rated for Home Improvement. Just because it was so close to her saying jackass, I guess, that I was like, whoa, chill.
Yeah, things got really heated there too. So
I guess the situation here, in terms of like their argument, and whether or not it's logical or her feelings or her anger is warranted. I guess I suppose I understand her frustration at Tim for making a decision without her, but I don't really know what she was expecting. Like, she's talking about a family sit-down wherein they have a discussion. What is that going to look like, or how is that going to play out in her mind? You know, I just am curious about that. This kind of struck me as being similar to the episode where she wants the boys to invest their own money. Like, a discussion with these boys it's not going to be a civil. They're not going to nod their heads and like say yes, I understand, or that. Like, I don't know what she thinks that's going to look like.
Yeah, I guess she expects everyone to sit on the couch, be civil. Brad and Randy are going to come out with their true feelings instead of just yelling and telling each other they're stupid.
Is it like group therapy she's envisioning?
I guess so. It makes sense. She's got the therapy background.
Yeah, and she's working for a magazine, so it shows you how that background is treated her.
It'll pay off later.
Yeah, sure.
But right now, not so much. Yeah, I agree. Like, I definitely understand her being upset about this, but like the way she wants to go about it probably isn't exactly ideal and wouldn't necessarily work anyways. But her going one-on-one to, Randy or to Brad to have this conversation makes a little bit more sense.
She should have done that 3 weeks ago. I mean, I feel like she's waited a long time to speak to Randy individually.
She wanted to wait until there was like 3 more black eyes, and then she was...
Yeah, until it boiled over. Yeah.
Jeez. All right. Crazy scene. Kind of a crazy episode so far. Do you need a break?
Jordan, I actually really could use a break. What about you?
Yeah, let's take a quick break, and let's talk about... our sponsor for this episode, which is Audible. Yeah. Audible is a great site where you can go on and get audiobooks, and we have a free trial that is available, a 30-day free trial that's available for Holman Podcast listeners. This is a special trial for you.
It's really special, Jordan. Audible, there are
over 180,000
titles to choose from, and I believe 170,000 of those are home improvement related.
That's. I mean, I'm not going to confirm that. We don't have a fact checker at this point.
It is a possibility.
It is a possibility. So yeah, not only do you get a 30-day free trial by signing up with our special promo code, you can also get a credit for 1 book for free. So I mean, how could you not take advantage of this? Just go to audibletrial.com/HomeandPodcast to get your free trial. You can sign up there. And I mean, Adam, do you have any books that you could recommend for them? Is it maybe a Halloween-themed book or something?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right now I'm reading Stephen King's Duma Key, which I've actually quite enjoyed. It's a long one. It's about 800 pages. I'm halfway through. I'm really enjoying that. Halloween season, I'm a King guy, so, why not go back and listen to the classics. So, The Shining, The Stand... Misery, Pet Sematary. Pet Sematary is probably his scariest, I would say, in terms of pure horror. So yeah, why not check out the Audible Pet Sematary listing and scare yourself silly.
Scare yourself silly. Plus, I mean, It just came out. You can go get It on there too. I mean,
I would imagine all of his books would be on there. So yeah, pick a good one. He's got the more serious ones. Duma Key is less horror based, but there are some spooky ones as well. So you can't go wrong with a King text. But they have all the popular books available on Audible. So
that's right.
That is Audible/HomeandPodcast, Jordan.
audibletrial.com/HomeandPodcast.
All right. So let's get back to the episode.
Let's get back. So we are outside now, and we've got Wilson looking up at the stars. He's taking some time-lapse photos. Tim's going to explain what's going on here, and we're going to let him do that himself by playing a clip.
Evening, Wilson.
Heavenly ho, good neighbor.
What are you doing?
Tim, I am shooting the moon.
Aren't you supposed to have your pants down for that?
No, Tim. I'm taking time-lapse photographs. I'm tracking the path of the blue moon. Taking some very spectacular shots.
That's funny. Jill just took some spectacular shots at me.
He's out of orbit in the Taylor universe.
I suppose you could say that. I made a big decision without asking her. I want to stop the boys from fighting, so I put them in separate bedrooms.
Well, that's a tough decision to make unilaterally.
Yeah. Jill figured I should have made it double laterally.
She used that word?
No. She doesn't have a big vocabulary like you and me. I thought if I separated them, it would stop them from fighting.
Oh, I see. Well, Tim, what were they fighting about?
They're boys. They fight about everything. What does it matter?
Well, Tim, what you're describing to me brings to mind the verruca vulgaris. Also known as the common wart.
You're calling my son's warts? Not that I mind. I don't mind.
No, Tim. What I'm trying to say is most people think the best way to get rid of a wart is to cut it off, but in actuality, that isn't the best solution. See, the wart will reappear because the virus is still below the surface of the skin.
So just putting my two warts in separate rooms isn't going to cure this problem, huh?
No, Tim, the only way to get rid of a wart is to go beneath the surface of the oily skin and dig out the root.
I see. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson? Mm-hmm. This is bar none the most disgusting conversation we've ever had.
It's a brisk winter night. Wilson's shooting the moon. Tim wonders, don't you have to have your pants down to do that?
I was not expecting that joke at all.
I mean, it's a bad joke. This episode has a lot of bad jokes, in my opinion. Tim, that's not to say that this segment is completely foul, because I do like this next joke where he mentions a unilateral decision, and what does Tim say? That a double lateral, or
yeah, I forget exactly what he says, and he says, Wilson says, did Jill say that? And Tim says, no, she doesn't use this. She doesn't have an expanded vocabulary like we do.
Yeah, I like that joke. But essentially, Tim doesn't know why. He doesn't know why the boys are fighting. He doesn't really think that matters. But then Wilson compares the fighting to a wart.
Ooh, and it gets gross real quick.
It's graphic, and he says that a lot of doctors or a lot of people think that you can just cut the wart off and it'll go away. But really, it'll just grow back.
You got to get to the root of the problem.
You got to go beneath the surface, get to the root, and get it out that way. So essentially, instead of moving the boys out and temporarily having things fixed, you got to get to the root of the problem, and that is the best way to solve that.
Let's take the long-term view, Tim, and we'll see if he does that, and he doesn't.
He says that he does note that this is the grossest conversation they've ever had, and I wholeheartily agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
There's a lot of good workbooks on Audible as well. You should check out. I would imagine. I heard there's 180,000 wart titles.
They all get to the root of the problem.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so back in the boys' room, Randy is upset. He's sitting there playing on his little computer, very 90s computer. Jill comes in, no mark to be found at this point, and she wonders, did you put him in one of the drawers? Did you stuff him in one of the drawers? She's trying to break the tension here, but it doesn't work. Randy, at this point, wants his own room and doesn't realize that that's not an option. Randy doesn't like any of his options. He's like, either I get the dork or I have to deal with Brad on his phone. Jill tries to explain what Brad is going through in junior high. Jill has lots of life experience with her and her sisters, and she tries to relate that here. And Jill does try to get to the root of the problem. She doesn't even need Wilson's advice here. She's already going for it. And we learn that Randy's a little bit jealous. So Brad is doing all of this new stuff. He's getting new friends. He's meeting girls. He's just leaving Randy behind. And that's tough for a younger brother. It's just really tough. Eventually, Jill solved this by getting older herself. And then her sister moved out. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how exactly that worked. But I think the point is, it's a matter of time, and it's just natural. He's getting new friends, he's having new interests, and there are some advantages to having Mark as your roommate. Mm-hmm. Do you know what those are, Adam?
I forgot, to be honest.
You did say your notes are sparse, so I guess I'll fill in here.
Forgot.
You get one thing. He's always wanted the upper bunk, so he's going to get that.
Oh,
the next
he gets to listen to his music.
Okay, that's what do you think Randy is listening to at this point in 1994?
It's 1994.
I did look up some popular songs. I thought maybe...
Okay.
I thought maybe Randy is kind of like a secret, romantic, yeah, R&B guy. So maybe I Swear by All For One, something like that.
Yeah, this is, I'm trying to think, 1994 music. Probably Nirvana, I would suspect.
That's the only thing you associate with the 90s at this point.
1994 Nirvana. Well, he also, I think he's wearing like a he almost has like a Kurt Cobain look. He's wearing like a flannel shirt open. And,
I was thinking more Crisscross.
Well, Crisscross will make you jump. So you can jump to that top bunk, I guess, but I don't know. That line that was like, Randy can listen to his music. Gosh, I would like to hear Randy's music, but we won't because it would cost money,
Yeah, it's a shame. So Jill does say at the end, maybe one day she will let Tim build a new bedroom, and Randy says, I don't think so, Mom.
Except that she will.
But there's the allusion to Tim and Al.
You skipped over her bra bit.
Oh, you're right. That was very important. Can you relay that information?
Yeah, I'll relay it. She basically, as she's trying to draw parallels between Randy's experience and her own, she mentions that her sister got to wear a bra, to which Randy replies, when do you think I'll get to wear a bra? Ha 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 ha. And then the blooper at the end of the episode is him trying to say that, but
and he breaks.
Getting very embarrassed because he's a little boy. So.
He is a little boy. All right, so downstairs, Tim and Jill. Tim comes in and Jill comes down. Tim wants to apologize. Jill is turning the tables, I should say, not one.
Nah, just the table in front of him.
Yeah, just separate tables in other places.
Brad got a new nightstand, and the Taylor's got a new table.
So she starts making decisions without Tim's consent, and she says, I'm going to paint all the tools pink, and goes on and says, I get the point. And Tim says, we need to get to the root of the problem. And Jill says, I already did that. Brad is leaving Randy behind. He doesn't want to hang out with his little brother anymore. Tim says the same thing happened to him with his little brothers. You hear some more strife upstairs. There's kind of a house undivided,
It's sort of, the episode ends just like with a shoulder shrug.
They decide, let's just go to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Despacito.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the episode, it's basically like, well, whatever. It's going to happen. Let these kids beat the hell out of each other.
It seems like they work it out, though, based on the last scene here.
Yeah, but then we just hear more fighting, so it was just a temporary fix. It's like
No, there's one more scene after this. Oh. Your notes are really bad.
Yeah, I forgot. I don't know. Whatever. Keep going.
All right, so... with the shoulder shrug, I guess they leave to Puerto Rico, we are to assume, and the boys decide they're going to finish this themselves. So Randy's on the top bunk. He finally got that top bunk he always wanted. Mm-hmm. Brad comes in, and he asks if he can hang out in here. And this is where you got your privilege line, so I'm surprised you forgot about this. But he wants to get away. Yeah, he wants to get away from Mom because she's bugging him. She says... with your own room, you have to keep it clean. You got to do your own laundry, which is kind of a surprise.
That seems like it would be more trouble than it's worth. Like, how much laundry does Brad conceivably have? And she would have to teach him how to do it, and probably force him to do it. And now his shirts are going to be all stinky. So if I were her, I would just keep doing it. She's got 3 kids.
Now Brad's got a great plan to wear his underwear 3 times and wear his shirts inside out and stuff. So it's going to be extra stinky. But yeah, she says with great privilege comes great responsibility, and that's the end of the episode. Besides some outtakes, so that is episode 66.
Black. Room for change.
So, sounds like you don't like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Highs and lows.
Highs. No lows. Lows. No highs. Highs. I'm so indecisive.
Start with mediums.
What did I think was okay? Most of it. Highs. I liked it when Tim said that they haven't proven that there's no life on Mars.
Yes.
I suppose the fence segment was fine. It was a fine example of a fence segment. It didn't offend me by any means.
You are often offended by Wilson.
I am so politically correct that these things offend me. No. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of highs here. There wasn't a lot that stood out to me as being...
Yeah.
I suppose that it's nice to see a plot point with the boys, or a plot line with the boys that we haven't seen before. Maybe have Brad and Randy be more of a focal point than they typically are. So I guess that was good, although I didn't really like the episode, so I'm not sure that it was that good. But I like that they're trying to
You like the idea of it.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. Here's a high. I like it when Tim hands Mark that box.
Oh, that is good.
Like you're fired. Pack up your.
That's the ultimate high right there.
Lows. I mean, I didn't think this episode was funny. I thought like the Tool Time stuff didn't play for me. The soundproof box and the bird droppings in the beginning. I didn't like either of the segments. I didn't think Tim's jokes were funny. None of the jokes really landed for me. I thought that I don't know, the Puerto Rico stuff didn't really play. You get a lot of the same kind of scenes in this where it's just like people are fighting and then they kind of they break each other, they break things up, and then it just kind of continues. I just was kind of bored by this one for whatever reason. I don't have a lot to say highs and lows. It was just like very dull to me.
So maybe not the worst in the world, but below average for you.
I mean, right this second, it feels like one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. But I suspect that ultimately it wasn't that bad.
Recency bias.
Yeah,
bias.
Yeah, recency bias is probably the best way to put it. It's fine. It's a little below average, but certainly not the worst. No.
Yeah, a little bit divergent opinions here. I think just some of the jokes. The main difference for me is some of the jokes.
Divergent is also a book that is available on Audible.com.
Absolutely, the whole trilogy is on there.
Yeah,
so.
Divergent, Insurgent, Resurgent,
Allegiant.
Whatever. They should have done Resurgent. They're lost. Anyways, carry on.
There's going to be a prequel. It's going to be Resurgent. There actually is a prequel to that, so no, they don't need any more. Yeah, no, I did like the soundproof box thing. I did remember that, and I still think it kind of worked for me. Like you said, the Mars joke was good. The you're fired Mark box is good. I did like the idea of Randy getting to listen to his own music more. I just wish there was more to that.
You're just you're choosing things that aren't even like supposed to be like. That are just like happenstance that they're funny. Like it's
the main premise for the episode, the fact that Mark has his own room, is bizarre to me. And
also, how did we not know that? I guess I should have. I just never pieced it together.
I guess I never asked you this during the episode, but I want to ask now.
Sure.
Did you ever? I guess you never shared a room with your older sister then.
No, I've never shared.
So you don't really have any experience to draw this on, besides like the time that you spent the night at my house a few times. Me, you, and Jared.
Yeah, I've been to sleepovers. I've like slept in the same room as other people. I actually do that now all the time. But
that surprises me. That doesn't seem like something you would do.
Yeah, no, it's weird. No, I never shared a room with my siblings growing up.
Okay, yeah. So there, for context, I shared a room with my oldest brother. He's 8 years older than me for a while, and then I had my own room after that. But yeah, we didn't really have these sorts of issues. Although at night he did listen to his music more than mine, which happened to be a lot of R&B. So
your family, everyone in your family, all of your brothers like R&B. I feel like.
I think only Justin and I like R&B, really.
Well, maybe, whatever. Carry on.
Justin likes everything, so that's not saying much. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't love the episode. I thought it was fine, though. I thought slightly better than you liked it, I suppose. Pigeon pooping joke, not great. Usually poop jokes are right up my alley, but that one didn't do it for me. And yeah, like I said, the fact that the wart joke was a good scene, or the wart, not the joke, but the wart scene was a pretty good Wilson scene, and it makes sense. So. But overall, room for change. There's definitely room for improvement in some episodes. So
true, Jordan. So true.
So true. With that, we're going to move on to Sean's social media corner. If you want to reach out to us, you can go to thehomeandpodcast.com to see our whole backlog of episodes. You can see how to sponsor us. You can see the wall of fame where all of our most important fans are. And you can also reach out to us at homeandpodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, we're at homeandpodcast. We have a Facebook page, facebook.com/homeandpodcast. And we're getting down to the end on the giveaway here. So if you want to enter to win a autographed by us Tim Allen book, #1 bestseller, you can either donate to us on Patreon at patreon.com/homeandpodcast or leave a review on iTunes. That takes like 3 seconds, and that also helps people find us. That helps us show up a little bit higher in iTunes, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. So, Adam, let me ask you, a lot of things have been happening on Twitter, lots of polls, important things, gifts that are just changing the industry and people's minds about all sorts of social issues. So share what's going on there.
Yeah, a lot of social change on this Twitter feed. Jordan, a lot of things going on. And I would just like to add on to the... Not only is the giveaway for Tim Allen's Don't Stand Too Close to a Naked Man, we're throwing a friggin' sticker in there. So,
friggin' sticker. You could put that on. You could put that on your MacBook and cover up that Apple symbol or something. Put it on your car.
Yeah, for sure. So get on that action. iTunes reviews don't cost a thing. Get yourself entered. And man, I don't know about you, Jordan, but if someone sent me an autographed copy of Tim Allen's Don't Stand Too Close to a Naked Man and a Home Podcast sticker in the mail, I'd be pretty excited.
And I know a lot of people are entering like the lottery. They think they're going to win the lottery, but you have a way higher chance to win this book. So
yeah, I mean, what your chance of winning the Powerball? I mean, granted, that's like a $1 billion prize, but to a lot of people, you're not going to win. To a lot of people, an autograph Tim Allen book by us, it's the same market value,
And your chance is like 1 in 20. So yeah, I mean, that's monumentally better.
Even better than that. All right, Twitter. 2 polls to go through. First one related to last week's episode. I straight up asked, do you have a good relationship with your parents? 13 total votes. 0% said none of your business. So that was nice. I appreciate that.
People wanted to share with you. That's good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. 15% said no. 85% said yes. So that is nice to hear that our listeners have a good relationship with their parents.
Yeah, and for the 15% that don't, we don't know your circumstances, but we hope maybe someday that can change.
Yeah, they didn't reach out and tell me why specifically, which was a letdown. I was really hoping to armchair psychology.
You didn't put in there, tell us why.
Yeah, I should have been more specific. All right, Jordan, this is a big one. Technically,
do you want me to insert the drum roll here when it comes time?
Yeah, do we have one?
I can find one.
The things you can do. So I'll tell you when to insert the drum roll. I want to do a little preamble here. So there are 6 hours left on this poll, and the poll is related to which movie should we cover for our Christmas episode this year. I left it up for as long as I possibly could.
You said you were going to leave it up for months, which was very...
You were hip to
I was
that.
skeptical.
You knew that wasn't a possibility, and I didn't know that Twitter had such limitations.
I feel like often we have these sorts of issues where you've got ideas, but they're not really feasible, and I got to bring you back down to earth.
Well, they may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. So, which movie should we cover for our Christmas episode this year? The options were Christmas with the Cranks, I'll Be Home for Christmas, or The Santa Claus 2. We have 6 hours left. It could change. I don't think it will. 30 total votes. Jordan, drum roll, please. And the final results are... 23% last place, I'll Be Home for Christmas. 33% second place, Christmas with the Cranks. And at 44% this year, for our Christmas episode, we are covering The Santa Claus 2.
Ooh, so we're going to piggyback right off of last year's.
I will be honest, this would have been my last choice.
It would have been. You did disclose to me, at first you put the JTT movie on there as kind of a joke, but then you thought, man, I kind of want to cover this.
Yeah, I actually would have preferred to have covered that one, but Santa Claus 2...
But we do what the fans want, not what we want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always, I'm selfless. We're selfless, that's what we're doing. So, Santa Claus 2, we will be releasing that very near Christmas, and
about 2 months from now.
More details to come. We'll probably record it earlier than that, so we'll want some questions and some thoughts and feedback overall for that. But look forward to that in the not so distant future.
Not so distant future. You know what's going to happen in the very, very not so distant future?
What's that, Jordan?
I have a question for you.
All right, I'm ready.
All right. So Brad's on the phone. He's maybe this is a little bit too early for him to have his first cell phone, but it did remind me of getting a cell phone, being on the phone when we were younger. I was hoping you could maybe recount either your first cell phone, or if that's not very interesting, some of the early cell phones that you had.
I don't think it's going to be interesting any way you slice it, but I'll answer the question, sure. Okay, so my first cell phone I got... it was, I believe, my sophomore year of high school, and it came at my 16th birthday. So when I turned 16, my parents got me a phone. I think under the impetus that I was going to be driving, because I immediately, the day I turned 16 was the first day I drove. I think that this is a separate thing, but in general, that's maybe less of a thing. Like, I have community college students that don't drive at all, so I don't know if people maybe don't get their driver's license or drive as soon as they turn 16. But for me, I did. So that day, my parents gave me a cell phone. It was a Nextel phone. It was black, pretty sleek. Nextel had the two-way, which was essentially just like
chirp,
a
chirp.
a walkie-talkie thing, which was really stupid looking back, but it was like that,
it was the thing.
It was the thing, and it was also like free. So like cell phone minutes and stuff. It was
must
like more
have
of a thing.
They included it, I guess, for something. But yeah, that was my first cell phone too.
It was unlimited. Yeah. So it was like a black Nextel. Had that. It was cool. I was very excited. I was surprised. I didn't think I was going to get one. I don't know that a lot of my friends had them at that point, so it wasn't like a thing I was really upset about, but I definitely was very excited and happy to have one.
I don't remember you ever chirping me.
Yeah,
because I also had a
I chirp you enough now, I guess. So.
Yeah, that's true. On your long drives home, but yeah, my first cell phone was also Nextel, but maybe I didn't have it by the time that you got it because I got mine in 8th grade. I don't know why my parents thought 8th grade was a good time for me to have one.
Really early.
I'm not sure that I used it. I mean, kids now, they have them when they're super young, but I would say high school was about when you got them when we were growing up. And so 8th grade, I had one. I do remember one time in class, I must have accidentally, I don't know why I ever brought it to school. It's not like I was texting people. That wasn't really how it worked.
Right.
But I left it on, and I didn't turn it on silent, and somebody chirped me.
Oh,
and you know how you used to, like, when you first talked with someone, you would just chirp once to make sure they were there.
Right.
And then somebody would chirp back and say, like, hey, what's up?
Right.
So it went off. I didn't think it was my phone. And the teacher was pissed. And they were like, whose phone is that? Bring it up now, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't think it was mine. And then it chirped again. And somebody said something. And I was like, oh, no, that's mine. And I just didn't say anything.
Who was it? Who was chirping you?
I don't remember. It was probably my dad. Who knows?
Your dad's chirping you at school? Oh, crazy.
My dad's an outlaw.
I'm really surprised that you had a cell phone in 8th grade. Your parents are very like pragmatic people. It seems like a luxury that you didn't necessarily need. But
maybe just because all of my older brothers had one, and they're like,
your mom is going to weigh in on this, and I want her to tell me exactly what the thought process was there.
Yeah, well, she'll let you know, I guess. As things got older, we had different phones, started using T9 Word and all that kind of stuff, so that was a little bit different. But yeah,
my favorite phone I've probably ever had was the Rumor, the phone where like it slid open and you could text on a keyboard. Man, I could text so fast with that thing. Sweet. I love that phone.
I don't remember. Mine wasn't called. Oh, it was the Envy or something like that. LG NV2. Yeah. That was my favorite one early on. But so thanks for taking that trip around. Nostalgia Lane with me, just to
Jordan,
talk
it was
about
a pleasure, and I'm sure people really enjoyed listening.
Yeah, if people want to tweet what their very first cell phone was,
please do. I'd love to. Or if you
I'm
have
sure
any
Adam will put a sweet poll up about cell phones. When did you get your first cell phone? Or
I 100% will. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you like to tweet. So
yeah, that's for sure. Jordan, what are we covering next week?
We're gonna cover the eve of construction.
Okay, interesting. One thing to note, I was on Hulu. Hulu has Home Improvement now. Game changer, awesome. Changed my life, changed your lives as well. And I was like looking at the future episode synopses, and there's one coming up where Randy meets like a woman in a chat room, and like she thinks that she wants to date him, and she like shows up at the house. And I'm really excited for that one.
That's gonna be fantastic.
That's gonna be so good. I can't wait. I wish that was next one. It's not. It's called Reality Bites.
This is the season, though?
Yeah, end of the season.
Holy crap. All right, that's something to look forward to. Another thing,
for sure.
Thank you to Audible, our sponsor for today. audibletrial.com/HomeandPodcast to get your free 30-day trial and a credit for a free book. So sign up for that. Adam, take us out.
Thank you, Audible. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Jordan. And I guess I should say take care.
Take care, everybody.